Alright, Lesson 3, Overview ISO 230, Fundamental Emergency Management, FEMA. Lesson 3, Overview Emergency Management Key Components. Lesson presents emergency management activities happen before, during, and after incident. After completion of the lesson, you'll be able to describe the mission areas, emergency management, identify capabilities, communities, individual families build in connection with each of the mission areas. Lesson should take approximately 30 minutes to complete. Emergency Management Program Basics. Emergency Management Program develops and implements programs capabilities aimed at reducing the impact of incidents on communities, identify potential threats and hazards, assesses the risks posed by them, plans for those risks that cannot be eliminated, prescribes the action required to deal with the consequence of actual events, and recover from those events. Emergency management action. Emergency action occurs as pre-incident activities, incident activities, and post-incident activities. Pre-incident activities. Pre-incident activities include activities such as information sharing, threat hazard identification, planning, training, and readiness exercises. Incident activities. Incident activities include life-saving missions, critical infrastructure support, protection. Post-incident activities. Post-incident activities are help people and communities recover and rebuild safer futures. Preparedness. Preparedness includes a range of deliberately critical task activities necessary for the build and sustain, improve the operational capability to prevent, protect against, mitigate, respond, recover the incidents, prepare for the continuous process involves the effort to level the government between the government, private sector, and non-government organizations, identify threats, determine vulnerability, determine impact capabilities, identify required resources. Preparedness includes plans other than preparations made to save lives, preparations made to save life, facility response, and recovery options. Emergency management preparedness mission areas. National preparedness goals identify the missions area that must build and sustain capabilities. Whole communities approach to emergency management supports execute following missions: prevention, protection, mitigation, response, and recovery. Prevention. This capability necessary to avoid, prevent, stop, threaten actual harm of terrorism or actual acts of terrorism, defined by presidential policy directive number 8. Prevention refers to preventing imminent threats. Protection. Protection. The capability necessary to secure the homeland against the acts of terrorism, human cause, or natural disasters. Mitigation. The capabilities necessary to reduce loss of life, property, lessening the impact of disaster. Response. A capability necessary to save lives, protect property, environment, meet basic human needs after an incident has occurred, and recovery. Is necessary to assist communities affected by an incident to recover effectively. Prevents protection suicide. Capabilities necessary to support protection prevention missions prevention protection. Some include necessary to support protection prevention mission area include identifying threats and hazards, sharing information federal, state, tribal, territorial, local, private sector partners, and physical technology, cyber measure, limit access, verify, identified. Prevention mission area capability, core capabilities, protection mission area, core capabilities. Alright, the planning, conducting systematic process, engaging whole community approach development with an executable, strategic, operational, tactical level approaches needed with defined objects, public information, warning, delivery, coordinate with the proper, reliable, the actual information, whole community through the use of clear, consistent, accessible, culturally, linguistically approach methods that effectively relay information regarding the threat as well as the actions being taken. This is being made available as appropriate operation coordination. Establish, maintain unified, coordinated operational structure process, appropriate, integrate with critical structure, stakeholder support, execution, core capabilities. Intelligence information sharing, provide timely, accurate accountability information resulting in planning, direction, collection, exploitation, processing, analysis, production, disseminating, evaluation, feedback, available information concerning physical cyber threats of the United States people, the property interest, development, proliferation of the use of weapons of mass destruction, any other matter being of the U.S. national homeland security by local, state, tribal, territorial, federal, or other stakeholders, information sharing, ability to exchange intelligence, information, data, knowledge among the government, private sector entities appropriate with the core capabilities shared accuracy across the prevention protection mission areas. Interdiction, disruption, delay, divert, intercept, halt, apprehend, support, secure threats and or hazards of the core capabilities shared with the prevention protection mission area. Screen and search detection identified as discover local threats, the hazards, the active passive surveillance search procedure that may include the use of systematic examination assessment, biosurveillance, senior technologies, physical investigation, intelligence, core capabilities shared with the prevention protection mission areas. Forensic attribution, conduct, forensic analysis of the attributed terrorist attacks, include means of the method of the terrorism to the source, include forensic analysis as well as an attribution for an attack, for preparation of an attack, in an effort to prevent initial follow-on attacks and swiftly develop counter options. Protection mission areas. Alright, planning. Conduct a systematic process with engaging whole communities appropriate to develop the execute strategic, operational, tactical level approach to meet with the defined object of the public information, warning, delivery, coordinate with the prompt, reliable accountability information, whole community for the use of the clear, consistent, and accessible for the culturally and linguistically approach method to effectively relay information regarding the threat hazards as well with the actions being taken with the assistance being made available as appropriate. Operational coordination, establish, maintain unified, coordinated operational structure process with appropriate, integrates critical structures through the execution core capabilities. Intelligence, information sharing, provide timely, accurate, accountability information resulting in planning, direction, collection, exploitation, processing, analysis, production, disseminating, evaluation, and feedback of available information concerning and cyber threats within the United States. Is people, property, injury, the development, proliferation of U.S. weapons of mass destruction, or any other matter being bearing on a U.S. national homeland security, local, state, tribal, territorial, federal, other stakeholder information sharing with eligibility exchange and intelligence, information, data, knowledge, and government of the private sector as appropriate. The core capabilities shared across prevention, protection, mission area. Interdiction, disruption, deliberate, divert, intercept, halt, apprehend, secure threats, or has the core capability shared by prevention and protection mission areas. Screening and searching detection. This can identify, discover local threats, hazards, throw out, active passive surveillance, search procedures. They may include use of systematic examination, assessment, biosurveillance, sensor technologies, or physical investigation, intelligence, core capability shared across prevention and protection mission area. Access control, identify and verification, and ability to support necessary physical technology, cyber measures, control admittance of the critical locations in the system, cybersecurity, protect, and if needed, restore electronic communication system information, serve the damage, unauthorized use, and exploitation. Physical protective measures, implement and maintain risk-informed countermeasure policies protecting people, orders, structures, materials, products, systems associated with a key operational activity, critical infrastructure sector. Risk management protection programs, activity identify, assess properties, prioritize risk, inform protection activity, countermeasure investments, supply and train, integrity, security, strength, and security and resilience over the supply chain. Our mitigation activities to play with the during and after insert the mitigation capability that are necessary to reduce the eliminate with long-term risk personnel property with the less than the actual potential effect of the consequence of the incident of these include understanding, recognizing, communicating, planning, addressing risk, buildings, resilient system communities, infrastructure, reduce vulnerability to incident, identifying and analyzing threats and hazards, select this link to access core capabilities mitigation mission area. Alright, you have planning, public information, warning, operational coordination, community resiliency, long-term vulnerable reduction, risk disaster, resilient assessment, threats, and hazard identification. Mitigation FEMA programs. FEMA Hazards Mitigation Association programs provide with the funding eligible mitigation activities, disaster loss to protect life or property of future disaster and damage. FEMA addresses the following hazard mitigation assistance programs: hazmat mitigation grant or HMGP, assists with implementing long-term hazard mitigation measures following the presidential disaster declaration, building resilient infrastructure communities, provide with the funds of the following hazard mitigation planning, implementation, and mitigation processes prior to disaster. Flood mitigation assistance, provide funds for the measure that can be taken to reduce, eliminate risk of flood damaged buildings insured under National Flood Insurance Program and the or mitigation strategy. To be successful, mitigation method must develop an overall mitigation strategy, consider the reduce the consequences together, the overall risk of specific threats and other community goals. The sound mitigation strategy is based on the following factors: mitigation measures intended to protect existing vulnerable, becoming more significant based with new development, other change of the community, road construction, zoning, building code changes, natural resource protection measures are used to reduce consequences of known hazards, improve the overall quality of the environment, emergency protective measures, protect people before and after incident, mitigation strategies based on jurisdictional threat and hazard identification risk assessment. Additional information of the threat and hazard identification risk assessment process is presented in later unit. Response begin with the incident with the imminent with the immediately after the event occur with the incumbents of the activity to address the short directly affected by the incident with the response capability focus on saving lives, protecting property and the environment, meeting basic human needs. Activities include providing transportation response priorities, including evacuation people and animal delivery response, resource for providing fatality, the management service of minimizing health and safety threats, provide life-saving service of the focus, hydration, feeding, shelter, reunifying family, delivering scheduled resource services, ensuring safety, security, and environmental affected communities, ensuring timely communication, provide essential services including emergency power, fuel, access to community staples, first and fire and first response services, providing life-saving medical treatment. Response, rapid assessment. Within first response staff with immediately life safety to conduct with the situation assessment, and the local government responsible for the emergency response continue with the assessment and build with the protect with the people with the property within the community, and the full responsibly respond with the local government official will may conduct the rapid assessment of local situation. The ability of local government to perform rapid assessment for the first few hours of event is crucial to provide adequate personnel with the life-threatening situation, imminent hazard. Coordinate timely assessment enable local government to prioritize response activities, allocate scarce resources, request additional assistance for the mutual aid partners as well as state and quickly and accurately. Response, obtaining information, important part of the rapid assessment, obtaining accurate information quickly, critical information, also called essential elements of information, or EEI, includes the information about life-saving needs, gathering information, life-saving needs, including evacuation, search, and rescue, critical infrastructure, gathering information, critical infrastructure, including to determine the status of the transportation, utility, communication system, fuel and water supplies, critical facilities, gathering information, critical facilities, including to determine the status of the police, fire station, medical providers, water, sewage treatment facilities, and media outlets, damage risk, gathering information, risk damage among the community dams, levy the facility, producing, storing hazard material for imminent hazard, and displaced individuals. Gathering information on a number of individuals who have been displaced to cover the event and the estimated extent of the damage of their dwellings. Anticipating cascading events. Information must also gather the cascading events, which events of the curve with a directly indirect result in the initial event. For example, flash flood disrupts electricity in the area, result electrical failure, serious traffic accident involving the hazard material spill occur, traffic incident, a cascading event with the result of the hazard material spill with the neighborhood, maybe the evacuated local stream contaminated. There also be a cascading event, but taken together effective with the cascading event, crippling into the community event, providing prior training, exercising before event occur can help reduce the cascading events and their effect with maintaining discipline to the follow of the plan during response operation, also reduce the effects of the cascading events. Recovery. Goal of the recovery, the return of the communication system and activity to new normal, or recovery efforts to start with the once of the incident that occur, same with some of the recovery activity may be current with the report response efforts. Ability to accelerate recovery process begin with the pre-disaster preparedness, including planning and mitigation. Recovery is more than restoration, physical structure. It also includes returning economic, business activity to a healthy state, restoring and improving the health and social service network, implementing housing solutions, stabilizing critical infrastructure functions. And this is the recovery missions. Planning, public information, warning, operational infrastructure, system, economic recovery, health, social services, housing, natural, cultural resources. Recovery assistance. Although recovery is primarily responsible for local government emergency with the disaster presidential declaration, number of assistance programs may be available under the Stafford Act. This includes public assistance and individual assistance. Public assistance. Public assistance to repair infrastructure, public facility, debris removal may include repair with the replacement of non-federal roads, public land, buildings, bridges, implementation, mitigation measures. Individual assistance. Individual assistance damage resident with a business for the personal property loss may include grants to individual families, temporary housing repairs, replacement with the possessions, and medical funeral expenses. Small business administration loans of individual businesses, critical counseling services, responders, legal services, disaster unemployment benefits. Recovery long term. Recovery of the disaster unique to each of the community depending on the amount and the kind of the damage caused by the disaster each of the community has the ready and can get. Long term recovery can take months or years because of the complex process of revitalizing homes, business, public information, communities, economy, as well as restoring quality of life. Recovery long-term recovery consideration. Long-term recovery considerations include keeping people informed, preventing unrealistic expectations, implementing mitigation measures for the rebuilding bridges, roads, public works, other parts of the infrastructure to ensure that against future disaster damage, conducting donation management, developing partnership business industry resource with considering competing interest groups involved in the planning process, identifying environmental issues, public health measures, identifying unmet needs of the survivors. Alright, key knowledge. Match the description of activity of mission when it's done. Passing an ordinance controlling development of flood plan. Mitigation. Setting up networks, neighborhood healthcare residents affected by a hurricane. Requiring identification of site access, mobilizing search rescue teams, and intelligence and information sharing. Mitigation is the passing of ordinance and controlling development, recovery, setting up network clinics, neighborhood health care, protection, requiring identification of site access, response, mobilizing search and rescue teams, prevention, intelligence, and information sharing. Cross-cutting core capability. The following core capabilities apply to missions, area planning, public information warning, operational coordination. Next lesson will review each of the capabilities: planning, public information warning, operational coordination, prevention, protection, mitigation, response, and recovery. Alright, planning is a core capability that is required in all 5 mission areas. Referred to the capability of conducting systematic approach and engaging the whole community appropriately to develop an executable strategic operational community-based approach to meet the defined objectives. Plans include having flexible process of the building existing plan, conducting training exercise, taking corrective actions. Emergency operation or EOP is important. Tool planning is described in more detail later in this lesson. Conducting training exercise, taking corrective actions. Whenever possible, all personnel should include exercise that enable the practice of the job under simulated in emergency conditions so that the actual incidents occur that they are ready to perform in a new capacity. Little or no time lost training must delay with detract the mission. Public information warning. Public information warning capability to draft, the deliver, the coordinate, prompt, reliable, actionable information to the whole community. Give the clear, consistent, accessible, culturally, linguistically approach method that effectively rely information regarding any threat or hazard as well as the actions being taken and associated assistance being made available. Alright, effective practice for the community within a whole. There are two examples of effective implementation: public information warning capability, tax telephone alert, or Lee County Division Public Safety, Fort Myers, Florida, Management Industrial Partnership, St. Charles Parish, Louisiana. Sources of partnership preparedness condemning emergency practice with the Emergency Management Federal Emergency Management Agency, December 1995. We'll look at the one in Florida. The text telephone alert is an emergency warning system that who are deaf and hard of hearing any of the emergency code. The Lee County Emergency Operations send out an alert. The text telephone alert machines and emergency information to every TTY user in the county. Management Industry Partner, St. Charles Parish, Louisiana. Local Emergency Management Agency offers a telephone hotline established with St. Charles Parish Emergency Operations Center Corporation within 26 petrochemical companies system serve with a 24-hour warning system emergency information exchange link between companies and parish. Our effective practice, social media. In July 2012, small rural fire rescues served with the Warren County, Virginia 5th Main Channel started with a small wildland fire quickly grew over 1,300 acres, threatening many homes and communities at the same time. Several surveyors storm knocked out power at 36,000 local homes for several days. Warren County Fire Rescue Service employed popular social media sites, successful delivery, incident updates, storm warnings, safety messages to over 11,845 people. More than 375 new people became followers of the social media page and checked in on a daily basis. This site is now offering preparedness information being used to recruit volunteers. Operational coordination. Operational coordination focuses on establishing and maintaining unified, coordinated operational structure. Profit. The capability includes establishing and maintaining partnerships, supporting network planning, and coordination. Mobilizing all critical resources, establishing command and control and coordinated structures, establishing leadership coordinated with the organizational recovery operation. Later lesson presents additional information about operational coordination. Operational coordination facilities is the process of the prepared operational coordinates. Important identified facilities during response. Certain facilities' typical design as part of the emergency planning process include emergency operations centers, shelters, distribution centers, storage areas, other facilities. Emergency operations centers. Emergency Operations Centers are over the location which all off-scene activities are coordinated with senior elected appointed official located at the end of the Emergency Operations Center, as well as the personnel that support the critical functions such as operation planning, logistics, finance, administration. Key function of the Emergency Operations Center and personnel is to ensure that those located with the scene the resource of the personnel, tools, and equipment they need to respond with a large emergency from the Disaster Emergency Operations Center. Also acts as the liaison between local responders, state operates and emergency operations centers, as well as can active with them necessary to support local operations. End of state emergency operations center personnel recover the report to the government and act on liaison between local and federal personnel. Shelters. Shelters uses house survivors. Shelters can be designated before an event occurs, but the public should be aware of the shelter location, transportation route with the neighborhood, workplace shelters. Most areas of the American Red Cross operates shelter coordinates local volunteer program manager to ensure that sheltering needs are met. Distribution centers. Distribution centers house the funding and emergency supplies made available to the public in most areas of the American Red Cross National Guard together with the local voluntary agencies coordinate distribution centers. Storage areas. Storage area response equipment, including warehouse, supply yards, or other facilities, should be designed with a part of the planning process. Your community may not be able to store all supplies needed, but should have the agreements placed in advance of supplies needed. Other facilities. Other facilities may be advanced based on the jurisdiction reach over the area of the community are likely to be affected. Other than seeing the instant command post, joint field offices, fusion centers, physical location staff of the personnel together to analyze and disassemble the intelligence information. Staging areas typically are not designated in advance because they require to close proximity incident site. Alright, knowledge review. Determine that each statement is true or false. Done when you're done, submit. The planning core capability of applicably solely response and recovery missions. True. Important required emergency supply store warehouses for incident occurs. One possible, all persons should be involved with the exercise to enable them to practice skills that may need for an emergency. All right, the planning core capability was false, and that's Lesson 3, Summary, Lesson Introduction, Emergency Management Key components include 5 mission areas. Emergency Management core capabilities required to accomplish the mission areas. Next lesson, you will learn the roles of key partners of emergency management. Lesson 4, Overview Emergency Management Roles. Testing.